Hello guys, Omni here. I know I'm super late to the game on this, but it's something I wanted to go back and touch upon because around the time E3 was going on, unfortunately, I was just too busy to sit down and watch these trailers and really kind of break them down or at least give my thoughts and opinions on them. So that's something I wanted to go back to and do. And this is the last one that I wanted to touch upon. Devil May Cry 5. The Devil May Cry series has always been something kind of close to my heart. It was one of the first hack and slash games that I really caught on to and loved back in my edgelord days. Back in my youth, when the first game came out, I remember getting the demo in the mail and playing it. And then when it came out, I got the game and I played it and I loved it. I love the character of Dante. I love the demons and the fighting, the sword play, and the stylish combat that they throw into these games, along with the soundtracks. The soundtracks are always part of the amazement to these games, part of the fun factor when you get into those fights and that techno grunge music just kicks in and you just feel like a badass. The series took a turn towards the end, shifting away from Dante a little bit when Devil May Cry 4 came out, and then you got this new character, Nero, which there's a lot of speculation and implication throughout that game that kind of hints to his ties to Dante's brother, who was first introduced in the very first game because he was the second to final boss. Like he was the guy you kind of fought periodically through the game before you got to the main big bad towards the end. Of course, until later in the game, you don't really know that is Dante's brother until he leaves the necklace that they were both left when they were born, because they're twins. His name's Virgil and he's Dante's twin brother. And then that's fleshed out more in Devil May Cry 3 because the focus of that, aside from the main villain, was the polarizing interests of Dante and Virgil in that game, because that was a prequel. It was you kind of see like what happened towards the end after that battle that resulted in Virgil being lost in hell and ends up in Mundus's claws by the end of that. But in all intents and purposes, you killed Virgil in the first game. Because chronologically, the games are, at least officially, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure chronologically they confirmed that chronologically it starts with 3 being the first game in that order, then the first game, then 4, and then 2 is off I think they said 2 is like 20 or 30 years after the first game, because there was such a shift in Dante's character between 1 and 2. Like he was quippy and like fun in the first game, and in the second game they just made him very stoic and serious, and like I know a lot of people didn't like that change to the character, so I guess they just kind of wrote that off and threw it off into his adulthood, where I guess he maybe matured, who knows. But I know people just didn't take to that change in his character. But 4, like I said, introduces another protagonist named Nero, who also is hunting demons, because he's got this arm. I can't remember what they called it, but he's got this like demon arm that I'm pretty sure was because he was part of an experiment that resulted in combining that arm with a human, which I think it's highly alluding to he is a clone of Virgil, and that's the only reason I'm willing to bet that arm is Virgil's arm, because later in one of those testing facilities throughout the game, you find one of Virgil's swords, which is the katana Yamato, which he wields, because when Nero's using it, and he activates his devil trigger, he gets a kind of like JoJo-esque stand aura around him which is the Virgil's Devil Trigger. So, like, I think it's heavily implied that either Nero is an experiment as a result of some tampering with Virgil's DNA, something like that. Maybe he's a reincarnation of him, which is why Dante shows an interest in him and shows up here in 4, because you split the game between Nero and Dante. I think there's only like 7 missions total where you play as Dante in that game compared to the other 8 or 9 missions where you're Nero. But it was a good game. It played great. I liked it a lot. I like Nero as a character, mostly because of the voice acting brought to life by Johnny Young Bosch. Always a joy to have him play a character, because he's been around since my childhood, because I used to be a huge Power Rangers kid. So I remember back in those days when he was Adam in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. But he's still kicking, still doing voice acting for a lot of popular video games and anime and stuff like that. So I'm really excited to go ahead and check out this trailer and see what they have to offer us with Devil May Cry 5. So here we go. That's bad for you, you know? I don't know you at all. We got demons running through some public streets, goring some people brutally. I don't know what that is, but that looks pretty cool. Some great imagery as always. Is that Nero? Yep, that's the Rev Sword. Revving it up. We got his little Cindy sidekick. See, like, the music in these games are just so good. He's missing his arm. He got a haircut too. What? The fighting looks just as fluid as always. Alright, so he lost his demon arm, so I guess she built him a replacement for it. Got a Winry-esque Cindy character. This song is awesome. He's a lot quippier than I remember. He definitely was more of a serious, melancholy character in the 4th game. I'm gonna have to go download this, find out what this song is, and download it later. Oh, okay, well that's what happened to the arm. It's Virgil's arm. I am calling it right now. That is Virgil's arm. There's Dante. Your grungy Uncle Dante. Somebody stole his arm. There's a reason somebody stole that arm. It has... I'm gonna be super disappointed if it's not Virgil. This will be like Snoke levels of betrayal when these clearly set up things are just like subverted. But I like it a lot. See, I'm wondering if, like, because of I wonder if, like, with the kind of the shift in Nero's personality, if they're trying to kind of like meet in the middle for the people that actually did enjoy DMC, which was not me. I did not take to that game. I didn't play that game at all, just out of, I just didn't have any interest in it. I didn't like the direction they took that game. Not to say that you can't take artistic liberties with a reboot, but they didn't keep the essence of the characters, because like Virgil was that archetypical character that you see in a lot of these things where like, yeah, he's the villain, but he has like a moral code. He has a code of honor. Like he's the type of person that would rather fight you head on or in a fair fight than do something like backstabbing or manipulative. And then like I've seen clips and stuff from that game, and like he's like a mob guy, and he like uses guns, which is against his code too. I mean, because he doesn't use guns at all. He's like that, like guns are primitive type characters that you see in like fantasy and stuff like this. Like he's all about the blade and personal weapons, like stuff that gets him up and close and requires a lot of skill. But in that, like he uses like a Tommy gun. He shoots this female demon in the back while she's holding her child. Like he just does a lot of stuff that's like out of character. It's okay to change things, but like you gotta keep the characters recognizable and stick at least to the essence of them. Like Dante, like being like his little trailer hermit of an edgelord child. It's fine. Like I didn't like it because I like Dante how he was, and I don't take change well because but that was okay. Like I didn't hate that as much about that, but they didn't stick to the core of the characters, and like it just bothered me how they were openly taunting the old series and the fans of the old series throughout. Like there was just some like jabs and jokes that was in the trailers and stuff like that was just like in bad taste, in my opinion. Like you're trying to get people to be accepting and into your game, but you're also kind of like teasing them for liking the original series, and like there was just very mixed bag with it for DMC, which is, why was it called DMC? It was called DMC : Devil May Cry. So it's Devil May Cry, Devil May Cry. This is stuff that's been talked about like a long time ago. I'm not going to get back into that. But because of the failure, because that game didn't do well at all, and I think it was because the fans just refused to pay for it or buy it. I ended up hanging out because like I was like, man, you know what? I might as well just give it a try. Like I got it on a Steam sale, I think for like $3, and I was like, they're not getting anything out of that, so I don't feel that bad about it. I mean, the game plays great. Like it's smooth, the action's great. It's just if they had just named it something else and did something else with it, because they can't even get the lore correct. Like in the original series, Dante and Virgil are half demon, half human. So they have a human mother and a demon father. In the reboot, DMC, they clearly call them Nephilim, which is in Christian mythos, which sorry if you're offended by me calling it mythos, but Nephilim are the spawn of angels and humans. And in this game, they are half demon, half angel. Which, as far as I know, there's not a name for that, because anyway, demons are fallen angels in that same type of lore. So, like, it just, Like they couldn't even get that part of it right. So I don't know, man. I just think they really tried way too hard to do something like different with this license, and it just didn't work. I don't think they put the research and care into it like you would have really wanted. I don't know. But this looks promising. I didn't think after DMC Capcom would actually buckle down and revisit the original games timeline, because they had said DMC would be its own thing, and then they would have a sequel to 4, like a direct sequel to 4 eventually. But after that happened, I just didn't know if they would actually go through with it. And this is like, I saw a lot of stuff that I was happy at E3 this year, but this one makes me happy because it's not something I thought was going to happen. And that was just because they tried a reboot, they tried to do something different, and it flopped. And usually when that happens, you either go back to basics or you just drop it and you don't try it again. And I'm really happy. And that's why I'm like thinking like maybe for the few people that did buy and did play and liked DMC, that's maybe where they're kind of meeting in the middle with this little shift in Nero's character. Because they kind of cut the hair, because he had longer hair in the 4th game. So he got the haircut, he's got the blue jacket, and he's a lot quippier than he was, because he wasn't the joke making type in 4. And I feel like they're kind of making him the avatar or the compromise between the original fans of the series and the people who actually came in at DMC, or the people that liked DMC. So he's like this mash of Nero from 4 and Dante's reboot version from DMC. At least that's my opinion. I don't know if that's the case, or if there's some explanation for how he progresses or evolves into this more lighthearted version of Nero. But he comes off a lot more like Dante than he did in the first game, because not the first game, but in Devil May Cry 4, because he was more that angry, angsty kid in that one. So he's lightened up quite a bit now. He's a lot more like Dante, so that's my guess. He lost his arm, which I'm calling it right now. Again, that's got to have something to do with Virgil. But yeah, I'm excited. This is by far the most exciting trailer that I think, for me personally, probably not for other people. It's probably Fallout or Elder Scrolls for other people. But this is the trailer that really made E3 shine to me. Like, Kingdom Hearts is my favorite video game series, period. And I did love seeing those trailers and stuff like that, but this is just pure nostalgia and love and a complete surprise, because I expected to see Kingdom Hearts here. I did not expect for this to exist. So I'm happy. I'm a happy camper. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you all for stopping in. I'll be looking forward to more trailers that are dropping out of Comic-Con to talk about here soon. So keep an eye out for those, and I'll catch you all later.